Whoa, surf's up, dude! But before I can hit those tasty waves, you know what I need to do. I need to turn this slab of wood into a mondo surfboard, and this is probably going to be my most complicated shape yet. It's time for another Painting with D. For this video, I wanted to make a seafoam green board with checkers on the top side and a cool gradient on the bottom. And just to make things even more difficult, I'm cutting this blank into a fishtail, or swallowtail shape. Getting this shape right is going to take a little extra work with the French curves because I need to draw a pointed nose that goes from a convex curve into a concave one. I figured the curve should change shape just about halfway down. So, as you'll note, I've marked a point at half the length of the board and inverted the curve by turning the ruler over to draw the other side. I don't need to mark it out exactly because I'm going to be rounding off any sharp edges in the shaping process, but this part is pretty important. Unfortunately, the coping saw really didn't want to cooperate this time. I tried tightening the blade and adjusting my angle of attack, but it just kept splintering the wood and pulling up chunks of lamination. Again, this shouldn't be anything I can't fix in the shaping process because it's going to smooth everything out, but I found it very annoying and I worried that I was going to destroy the blank before I could get that far. Also, this saw is just a pain to use. My hands kept cramping up and it's hard to get the blade going again once I stop. It's much cooler this week than last week, so maybe the falling temperature has changed the wood a little bit. Maybe it's too dry. Maybe it's just not a good piece of wood. I'm sure a fresh new blade on this saw wouldn't hurt either. It's really hard to say what the exact problem is, but I've just about had it with this coping saw. A trip to the hardware store may be in order. Despite my problems with the wood, it wasn't too hard to follow the line I drew during the cutting process. But this shape proved to be very difficult during the sanding and shaping process. I found it difficult to get into the finer nooks and crannies of the swallowtail, and even keeping those curves even as I rounded the rails wasn't easy. In the end, I'm just very grateful that I got any satisfying results at all. Although, to be honest, it's not too bad. After all that, I was certain that the painting process would be much simpler, and I was right. Although, as you'll see, it didn't go without some hitches. I'm starting the first coat with one half of the deck in a dark green and the other half in a light green. I was hoping to get a nice gradient fade, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Once I've taped up the pattern, that's where things go a little wrong. I was hoping to fade from light to dark, but I guess I didn't plan ahead enough, because I set the first part of the checkers right along the edge. The effect I'm getting with the wider checkerboard is kinda cool, but that's not what I was looking for. I guess I goofed this one up. bottom, I just wanted a patchy light on dark effect. Not a smooth gradient from light to dark, but a cool, eye-catching contrast. At least I achieved exactly what I was looking for there. And that about wraps it up. Not the smoothest bit of work, but pretty good considering I've never tried this shape before. I'd almost given up hope that I would get anything nice after the fiasco with the saw, but I'm glad I stuck with it. I just need to go back and fix up a few details so I can even out the checkerboard pattern and correct some other mistakes. But I'll do that later, off camera. It's difficult to film with smaller brushes and finer details. If you've enjoyed this week's video, be sure to check out the others I've done. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to the channel? I've got more coming next week. Thanks for watching.